Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Valeria and this is the off-road range. I have 2,500 square meters of my own land and another 7,500 square meters of leased land I am building my range on, the off-road range. In future, there will be a garage where I will upgrade jeeps, an apple orchard, an apiary and a fish pond. But so far, things are like this. In the summer of 2023, I began ennobling the new site. In the winter of 2024, I finished building the box of the house that you see from behind. In the spring of 2024, I connected the electricity and painted the house inside. And now, in the summer 2024, I am gradually ennobling the site. There are many trees on my land. Some of them need to be cut down. Some require care. I work with a chainsaw, saw, axe, and use cables and chains. Also, for more than a year, I haven't had a source of clean water on the site. But recently, I finally purchased hoses, pumps, a heating cable, extension cords and other materials to clean the well in the nearest future. All this is stored in the house for a long time, and this is very inconvenient and also unhygienic. 70% of the house is occupied by tools. I only have space for cooking and sleeping. I thought for a long time about how I could build a warehouse or a barn. I have very limited finances, but it should be reliable and durable, since I don't want to throw money away. There was also the question of its size and design. It should accommodate all the tools, all the materials remaining after building the house, and also materials that I will buy in the future to install the fence. It must also be resistant to strong winds, autumn rains, winter storms and some thunderstorms. And finally, I remembered that all over the world people use sea containers to build offices, hotels, bars, cafes, and so on. Their service life is about 100 years with proper use and care. And I decided that buying a 40-foot metal suitcase would be a great solution, especially if I service it every few years and invest money in it. It would be a more reliable, simpler and budget option than building a warehouse from scratch. Therefore, a very important day will come soon. My container will arrive on the off-road range. And my tasks in this video are to prepare a site for it, to install it at the selected location, and to perform an initial visual inspection. First, I chose a location based on many factors. From the project of the future range, from the topography, from the distance from the house, from the boundaries on the site, from future work in it, from the direction of the wind, and from possibility of driving to the container during the rainy season or winter. I mowed the area and used a tape measure to mark the exact dimensions of where it should stand. The container shouldn't stand on the ground, otherwise it will quickly rust and rot, and condensation will form inside. For the foundation, I used logs that were left after dismantling an old house in the depths of the site. You may have already seen these logs in the video number 62. Some of them turned out to be rotten, and I made firewood out of them. So I selected the hardest preserved logs of the same diameter and placed them in one plane using a laser and marked them with paint to point where exactly the container would go. I need to put it down and not move it again, so it shouldn't be on a future work area or in a driveway. I tried to choose a flat piece of land, since this makes it easier to install supports under the container in one plane. Construction work will take place in and around the container, For example, welding, metal cutting, painting, though the wind direction should blow the air around the container as much as possible. The container will store materials for the fence, so I tried to place it in the center of the site, equidistant from all boundaries. At the same time, it must be far enough from the house to remain safe in the event of a fire near or inside the container. And also, there should be convenient access roads, level and without holes, so that I could drive up in a jeep with a trailer and unload the material. Several branches were in the way of installing the container, so I had to cut them off. The area around the cut branches will become windy and dry. To understand the volume of tools that will be stored there in the coming days, I will list a short list of what is currently in my home. These are a chainsaw, a lawnmower, pumps for cleaning wells and pumping out water, hoses for irrigation, shovels, rakes, picks, axes, metal barrels, wires, cables, nails, extension cords, scaffolding. All this is stored in the house. Out of 40 square meters of living space, I have 10 free. Soon I will finally be able to move it all into a container. But the main reason why I need my 40-foot suitcase is to reduce the amount of construction dust inside the house, and also to have the ability to carry out any interior finishing work, since now my house is just a box that doesn't even have a floor, not to mention a shower or toilet and any furniture. Preparing the site took me 5 days of physical work, not to mention working on the laptop where I developed the project. You see these processes within 10 minutes, but for me, it is a week of complex work from which I only shoot the key important points. And finally, the container arrived at the off-road range. There were no opportunities for filming, since I don't have a team of cameramen and several cameras. I film everything on my phone, but I was busy adjusting the installation of the container myself. In addition to the price for the container, I also need to pay for delivery and unloading. And the installation work of a slinger costs another $300. Therefore, to save money, I put on a construction helmet, brought a ladder, and did the work of adjusting the installation of the container myself, working in a team with a crane operator and a lawn truck driver. The first time opening a container was difficult for me. I learned from the internet how to do it, but I had no practice. Now I open and close the container like that. But the first times, it took me forever. The process of closing is a separate show, and I highly recommend you watching it at the end of this video. This container is quite old and tired, but it cost me several times cheaper than a new one. It has quite a few dents, rust, and the paint has come off in many places. But all this can be restored. It's a matter of time and effort. The most important thing that I was guided by when choosing a container is that it shouldn't leak, and the doors should close tightly. Otherwise, it won't be a dry and closed space, and I won't be able to create suitable conditions for storing tools there. I will check it again for leaks during heavy rains, and later I will weld up weak points and carry out sanding and painting work. And this is comprehensive care for the instrument, since any container needs to be painted over time and checked for leaks and rust. due to its long use, closing the door turned out to be a separate quest. Due to the fact that the container's locking bars are all too tight, I didn't have the chance to close it. And then it turned out that one locking bar was bent, and the metal at the fastening points was bent as well. All this prevents the door from closing smoothly and quickly. Now I've gotten used to closing it, but at the time of filming the video, I was just trying to close it as quickly as possible, especially realizing the proximity of the thunderstorm. I tried to think of different ways to close it, but the best solution is to replace the locking bar while repairing the container, and I will do it later. As a result, I got caught in a thunderstorm and returned home completely wet. But I am no stranger to these adventures. The next tasks will be loading the container with the tools that are currently in the house, grounding it, making electricity into the container, and, of course, repairing it to preserve it for many, many years, which will take me at least a few weeks. And I will show it to you later. So far, work is still ongoing on the site to cut down old, unnecessary and poisonous plants, which I will show you in the nearest future. Subscribe to me, support me in the form of likes, comments and donations, and be sure to share my videos with your friends. It was Valeria, the off-road range. I wish you all the best and see you soon.